Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are getting very close to the end of the troublesome reign of King John. We've only got 3 monologues to go, and today we get to hear from King John in Act 2, Scene 8. So King John, the English lords have come back to join him, but he wasn't feeling so great the last time that we saw him, and he had taken refuge in Swinstead Abbey, which is where the bastard had ransacked it previously, and we saw that happen. It was a bit of a comedy of errors thing where all these people kept popping out of trunks that were supposed to be full of money, but they weren't. So anyway, he thinks that he's safe, but he is somewhere where the people view him as an enemy, and Friar Thomas is actually planning to kill him. So at the beginning of the scene, we've got 2 friars getting ready to have dinner. We have Friar Lawrence and we have Friar Anthony, and they're setting the table because the king's going to come in and eat, and the king comes in with the abbot, and the king is like, "Please, abbot, sit down and eat with me." And he's like, "Please, Philip the bastard, come and sit and eat with me." And it looks like they're going to have a nice, lovely dinner. And then Friar Thomas comes in with a cup of wine for the king and gives it to him. And the king is like, "You try it first, and then you can add king's taster to your resume." And Friar Thomas is like, "Sure," and takes a swig and then gives it to the king. And the king is like, "Okay, all is well and good." And Friar Thomas takes like 4 steps over there. It's maybe 3 lines later. Friar Thomas falls dead because it was poisoned wine. So then the king starts to freak out, and the rest of them start to freak out a little bit. Oh, the king is poisoned, and what happened to Friar Thomas? And this is a plot, and how do we fix this sort of thing? And the king is like, "Oh, this is bad. Like I'm gonna die. And the bastard is like, "This was obviously a plot, and somebody has to pay the price for it." So he kills the abbot. He just goes over and stabs the abbot, and he's like, "You and Friar Thomas can meet each other in hell for what you did." And King John then says, "Methinks I see a catalogue of sin wrote by a fiend in marble characters, the least enough to lose my part in heaven. Methinks the devil whispers in mine ears and tells me 'tis in vain to hope for grace. I must be damned for Arthur's sudden death. I see 1,000 men come to accuse me for my wrong on earth, and there is none so merciful a God that will forgive the number of my sins. How have I lived but by another's loss? What have I loved but wrack of others' weal? When have I vowed and not infringed mine oath? Where have I done a deed deserving well? How, what, when, and where have I bestowed a day that tended not to some notorious ill? My life, replete with rage and tyranny, craves little pity for so strange a death. Or who will say that John deceased too soon? Who will not say he rather lived too long? Dishonor did attaint me in my life, and shame attendeth John unto his death. Why did I escape the fury of the French, and died not by the temper of their swords? Shameless my life, and shamefully it ends, scorned by my foes, disdained of my friends." So this is a little bit of a come to Jesus moment for King John. He's realizing that he did not live a good life. Here he is staring down death. He knows he drank the poison wine. He just watched Friar Thomas die from drinking this wine a second ago. He knows that's coming for him. And he's like, I'm pretty sure now that I'm not going to get into heaven. There are thousands of people that claim that I have sinned against them, if for nothing else, for Arthur's death. And everybody has come to accuse me. And he starts to take a bit of an account. He's like, what have I done that didn't take something from somebody else? What did I enjoy that didn't make somebody else miserable? What did I swear to do that I then broke that oath? I've broken all my oaths. He's like, what did I ever do that would deserve a good, happy ending? He's like, nothing. Nothing. Every single day that I have lived, something bad has happened. So nobody's even going to feel bad for me that I'm gone, that I'm dead. Nobody's going to say I died too soon. People are likely going to say that I lived too long. And he's like, this is a very shameful way to die. Couldn't I have died out on the battlefield against the French? But no, here I'm getting poisoned by a monk in an abbey. Like, this is a really, really bad way to go. And John feels really bad. It's mostly like pity party stuff. Depending on how you want to play him, you could try to make him a little more empathetic in this moment, because remember a couple scenes ago when he was worried about the French attacking and he thought that he was going to have to give up his crown, and turns out he did have to give up his crown. He did come to the conclusion that all of this was his fault. So this is sort of an extension of that. He's still sort of owning up to the fact that he was a horrible person, and now he's staring death in the face. It is literally coming for him. Within minutes, he's going to be dead. And he has all of these regrets and these realizations that he was not a good person. He was not a good king. And the bastard is like, just make amends with Jesus. Just make amends with God and everything will be fine. And King John is going to have some more to say tomorrow before he expires. So I will see you then for that. Mwah.